It's live now.
Well, hi, Lauren. How are you?
All right. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm excited to speak to you today. I know we definitely met before and recorded some things, but this is obviously near and dear to my heart, so I'm happy to be a guest today.
Yes, I'm so excited to have you here and looking forward to it. So let's get into it. I guess I'm supposed to tell people where they are. You're in Taiki Talk. I have this live stream every week, almost every week. And we discuss all things, well, I guess I shouldn't say all things about careers, money, career transition. I think you have some fun stuff to talk about. Well, maybe it'd just be fun for me, but
I mean, I love talking about money. I was in sales for 18 years almost, so money, I can talk about money all day long. So,
yes. Oh, yeah. So let me introduce you. Our guest today is Mira Hardin. And I'm going to let you introduce yourself because I don't want to miss anything. I want to make sure that everyone hears about your fabulousness.
yeah. So, hello, everyone who's tuning in. My name is Mira Hardin, and I am a career coach and a course creator that focuses on salary negotiation. I have helped, I focus mainly on women and women of color, but I have helped every single ethnicity under the sun basically level up their game and get the money that they've been working for and that they deserve. And I think it's a topic that's taboo in the cultural norms that come along with it, whether you're Black, white, Asian. There is like a taboo on talking about money. There's a taboo about asking about money, the gratefulness that comes along with it. And I myself have experienced some of this in my career. I worked in media sales for 18 years, or really just the media world. When it was on the agency side, I worked in sales and I really found my groove and I really love sales. And we talk about money all day long and what our clients spend, and we have metrics and goals. And, I found myself unfortunately in a situation where I was the lowest paid person on the team, but the highest producing person. And that kind of
Oh,
really opened up I was awful. And it kind of opened up my eyes. And I can tell you about the way I found out about it, because this is obviously an intro, but it made me leave a company that I didn't want to leave at the time. And when I left, I made $40,000 more at the time. And then ever
mhm.
since then, I've kind of perfected this method of how to ask, how to prepare, and took the emotion out of it. So I typically am a very friendly, nice, positive person. But when I have these conversations, I still am friendly and kind, but the nice goes away because it's business. And I kind of stick to what I need to do and what my goal is. And I try to be fair and I try to be my own advocate. And so that's what I'm doing with a lot of the clients that I work with now. And it's been a ride. It's been great. And meeting people from different industries has been awesome. But at the end of the day, negotiation. And we have that, little problem of the gender pay gap that still exists. And if I can help some people kind of inch upwards on that so we could be even, that would be, a job well done.
And if you want to hear her talk about this every week, you can listen to her podcast.
Yeah, which Lauren
Down Girl Trip.
is a guest tomorrow. It will be airing.
Oh, look at the timing.
Mhm.
Yes, well, it's an excellent podcast. I highly recommend everyone listen to it. So you talk about how it's kind of a taboo subject. What are some of the hangups and obstacles that particularly women run into when they go into negotiations?
Yeah, I mean, I think when it comes to money, there are very specific challenges. There are very specific hangups that can affect a woman's financial well-being, right? And it contributes to the gender wage pay gap, like I said. And the biggest hangups, and I have it in 5 points, right? It's the lack of negotiation skill. That's not something that we're taught in school. Unless you're a lawyer, you kind of have to learn how to do it.
We're
The
not taught either, by the way. I'm an attorney.
Oh,
We're not
well,
taught that
when
either.
when I got my MBA, the person that taught me negotiation was a lawyer. So I just assumed all lawyers maybe learn it, but
Yeah, they probably learned that while working or at internship. In law school, you generally aren't taught that.
okay.
But
Well,
anyway,
that's terrible because you're supposed to negotiate contracts and things.
mhm, you learn
Okay.
on the job.
Well, I learned out of necessity. So I think it's a lack of negotiation skills. I think there's a financial education that doesn't happen for a lot of people where, similar to me, I didn't even know. I mean, I kind of knew I was low paid, but I didn't really realize how much and what I should be paid. And I didn't care because it wasn't something that pushed on me. The confidence wasn't there. So it's the financial education and the confidence. I kind of touched on this in my intro, but the cultural and societal norms of women and the gender roles that we play, I think that's a huge thing. You know, we prioritize women being the caretaker, the person who's responsible at home. And I think a lot of women, going back to the confidence, feel like they can't ask because they're taking time out to like get home on time or things like that, where it's affecting their financial independence, it's affecting their career advancement because they're a mom. So I think the societal norms and the cultural aspect of that really is a huge thing. And I think as simple as you know, the relationship that women have with money. I think that emotional relationship really plays into it. I think that there's a guilt, there's a shame, there's a fear around, if we ask, we're going to be greedy. If we ask, how selfish are you? You should be grateful for this opportunity. And that was something that I had as well, despite the fact that I was a high producing individual in the company, the highest actually, time and time again. The numbers were there. I knew it was there because I was always very cautious about being the best. I always wanted to be the best so that nobody can question why I was there. So that comes along with my insecurities as well, that I was grateful to be there. So all of these 5 things that I mentioned, they all kind of play together. And it's just this vicious cycle that we as women of color, and there are men too that do experience this. But I think with men, there's a little bit more give that, oh, he's being he's a guy. Oh, he's working hard. He deserves it. But for women, it's like, oh God, she leaves early to go get her kid. Like, what is she talking about? I don't care how much she brings in money. I don't care what she's doing. There's this attitude that's there. And so this is making what a white woman faces compared to a white man, what they're making is terrible. You add the ethnicity part to it. You add what an Indian woman is making, an Asian American woman. You add what an African American woman is making, and it gets lower and lower. And I think Latinos are at the very bottom. And it's something that, look, I can talk about this all day long, but it's something that we all know about. It's had a lot of push in social media. It's had a lot of push in all of the newspapers and reported. All the statistics are there. Every year they come up with the statistics. We're getting a little bit better, but we're not there. So I'm just trying to help fight the fight.
One of the things I always tell people, they're nervous about negotiating either an increase, a raise, or when they're starting a job, is what you negotiate now affects how much you make in the future.
Tell me about it.
Because like a lot of raises, bonuses, they're based on percentage.
Yeah.
Companies are doing it less now, but still a whole lot of companies are asking, what did you make at your last job? And you figure out ways.
Well, Lauren, in some states, you cannot ask that.
Yeah.
But you forget, you're like, well, I'm making this now, so I'd like to make more. I mean, I used to use that as a tactic back in the day and used to say, well, I'm making this. And I would always inflate the number, but I don't need to you don't need to do that. They don't need to ask that. You could just say, this is what I expect from this role, because this is the responsibility that is you're telling me that you need. And it's totally fine to do that. But again, as a woman, there are these hangups. There are these, ooh, like, I don't want to lose the job. Like, I don't want them to take it back. And I do still feel that sometimes. But what's hard for us to do is, if they're negotiating with you, there could be somebody else there for you. But if you're not negotiating and getting paid what you want, even if you get that job, you're going in there knowing that you're being undervalued. And that already starts from the very beginning. You don't want to walk into a job like that. It's actually better. I mean, given the economy, I know it's a weird economy right now, but under a normal economy circumstances, it's almost better to move on to a company that's gonna want you for what you're supposed to be paid. Because what are you walking into if they're not giving you what you deserve?
Exactly.
If they're not even trying to negotiate with you, what kind of environment is that? The toxicity is going to come in other ways, not just with your pay. Trust me on that.
Yes.
I am living proof of that.
Yeah, it's kind of like, I understand everyone's situations differently, and sometimes you got to take what you can get. Like, the job is right now, not forever.
Yeah.
That's my opinion, is that I think that's all jobs. It's like right now, because that's kind of, I mean, let's be for real, that's kind of how they see you. You're their employee for right now.
Yeah. I mean, look, listen, I think for my generation, we thought that, right? We were like, no, work is so important. Like it's a huge part of your life. And I think as we've gone along in life, as the Gen Zers are coming in, as we had the pandemic, I think that has shifted a little bit. I think there's more of a priority on work-life balance. I've noticed a lot of companies going out promoting that. And
Mhm.
actually, I came across a company recently in a very weird way. And one of the criteria or like special requirements, so preferences, I guess, was that don't expect work-life balance here. We need you to be all in. But they said it. And at first I was kind of like, what? Why? But then as I marinated on it, I'm just like, you know what? I respect it because you're weeding out, and they had not a lot of applicants, by the way, on purpose. So they weeded out people that didn't want to do that. The person
Yeah.
that's going to apply to that job is probably a super go-getter, a person that's like, great, I'm going to figure out my work-life balance anyway, regardless, but work is so important to me. I don't know how many people are there anymore after the pandemic, but they know what they want. And they obviously have a very lucrative company and there's people who work there. So there's something to be said about that.
Yeah,
So
Twitter
don't
said,
do it.
yes, I think Elon said that soon after he bought Twitter. Like, we want people who are all in, and
And
one
the
of
whole
his,
world went to, but you know what? But it also, for Elon, it was bad. Like, come on. If I owned a company, I'd want everybody to be all in, but I'm not stupid. It's my company. I want you to want to be here too. I want you to be happy because if you're happy, you're going to stay longer. You're going to be, you don't have to be trained. I don't have to train people to replace you. And you're going to really live that. Oh, I want this company to be successful because I'm benefiting from it. And I like being here because I'm benefiting too, not just the owner. Elon saying that from the jump, it just rubbed people the wrong way, especially after he laid off like 75% of the staff or something like that. So it was just kind of like, you just laid all these people off and didn't give them a chance. And now you're saying you only want like workhorses after the pandemic when people prioritize their health and their families. It was
yeah,
just, to me, a little like, what? But he said it. And
yeah. And he got rid of one of his biggest champions of that. She was, I can't remember her name. She had taken a picture of her in a sleeping bag, sleeping in the office. She's like, well, this is what it looks like to go. I'm like, he never took her. She was all in, then he was like, get out.
expectation, this is work, sir. I'm not bringing my sleeping bag and staying here. But when I started off in the industry, in my industry, I was at an agency. Sure as shit, I stayed till 9 o'clock at night. I would get in on Saturday mornings to catch up. And you know what I was told after a while that the overtime, I've maxed it out and I can't do that anymore. And I said, so how do you expect this work to get done? They're like, well, it just has to get done. And that was like, to me, I was like, well, maybe you should hire more people because I'm assisting 3 people and there's this girl who sucks and she's assisting 1 person, but you don't trust her. So this doesn't make sense so it's, again, it goes back to how much you're getting paid. I was getting paid too much and they had to
Mhm.
stop the overtime pay. And I'm like, well, then divvy up the work evenly. Like,
Yeah.
it's just going to have to get done. You need to leave at 6 o'clock every day. And I was like, first of all, my hours are 9 to 5. So 6 o'clock is still overtime. That was number one. And, I didn't want to shoot the messenger because she was a lovely person. My boss was wonderful, but the message was there. I was being
Mhm.
overworked. And that made me something that I wasn't thinking about. I was happy to do it because I wanted to shine. I wanted to do well. I was maybe 24 or 23 and it just rubbed me the wrong way. And I did not stay at that company longer than that because they were not going to change the workload for me. And other
Right.
people had less of a workload because they were not as good. So I was being penalized for being good. And I was being
Yeah.
penalized because I couldn't put in overtime, but I still had to get the work done. And it's not like I
Mhm.
messed around all day. I did what I had to do, clearly, that you felt like I was worth assisting all these people and helping all these people that are at this higher level. It just didn't make any sense when you really think about it. And for a young person who really wanted to show everything and show my all, it kicked me back a little bit. It kicked me back and
Yeah.
I learned a lot from that.
I think we've all had that. I mean, really, what's the incentive of doing well? I mean, even as the person, like the coworker who only had one person, that she knew what she was doing. I mean, I'm sure she went home at 4:55.
If I had somebody on my team that, and I did, I've had assistants and planners and people who are on my team, and then they're coming in late, they're leaving early. But if they got their job done and then some, I don't care.
Yeah.
I had people coming in early, leaving late, and they just screwed shit up all the time. Oops, don't know if I can curse. They just screwed stuff up all the time. And I would rather them leave early because I would have to fix it or somebody else has to fix it.
Yes.
So it's almost like quality over quantity. And a
Yes.
lot of people in my generation or the generation, of course, above, I mean, I had this boss that used to sit around the assistants and he would stand there and be like this. And then we would walk into our offices. She came in at 9:15. Everyone should be in their seats at 9 o'clock on the dot or earlier. I'm like, who are you? Do you own this company? Also, leave my people alone. Like, they're doing my thing. I do not have a problem. Do you have a problem with my team? I'm the highest producing team here. Do you have a problem? Leave them alone.
Yeah.
And then you'd have his boss, like a few rankings up, would be like, when people are done, they should just leave. So it was like contradictory messages.
Yeah.
So what did these people end up doing? They ended up sitting in their seats, even though they had nothing to do because they were this one micromanager. And then the higher boss would leave because he wanted to get home to his family, which everybody was like, oh, he wants to go have dinner with his family. You know, but when the women did it, it was like, oh, she's leaving early.
So I always try to ask their top line, they seem like they're common questions, but I remember I sent you, I'm like, so other than creating a list of your accomplishments and doing your market research to see what's the average or what's the pay band for your position, how can women prepare for these negotiations?
Yeah. So I think something that you don't find when you research, when you type it in Google or whatever, you don't find this tip. It's about getting advocates within your company for you. And that starts as soon as you walk in the door. You need friends, of course, you need mentors, but you need advocates. You need people who are gonna be like, hey, Lauren, come on, there's a promotion up. What's going on? You don't want it? Like, what are you doing for it? Like, you want someone that's gonna push you, but also it's always better when it's someone who's higher up, if you can get it. If you're a director, if you could have a VP advocate for you, because they're talking to other VPs, there's meetings and things that they have, and they're very likely to say, hey, Lauren, you know, what's up with that girl on your team? You know, how's she doing? Like, they talk about everything. So I think like having that mentality when you're going in there, that work is work, but if I want to succeed here, I need people on my side. I need people to fight my fight for me while I fight. And I learned that really later on, because I saw a lot of people, you know, sucking up and doing their thing, but they're the ones that got promoted faster than me. They're the ones that got more than me. And I don't see it as sucking up now. I see it as you find a person that believes in you, that can guide you. That's not just a mentor that's going to listen, but someone who's going to, you know, vouch for you. And that's hard to do. But if you go in with that mentality that you want everybody to sing your praises, like everyone around you, not just your peers, because you're so good at what you do, I think it goes a long way, because even if you leave that company, you have people from that company that you were at, maybe move on to other places. They'll always remember you as that person who's doing well, that person who, because other people talked about it, right? So you need people to push for you and advocate for you. So when you do go for a raise, when you do your identifying why you need the raise, preparing, you're researching the meetings and what you're going to say, when you do that, it doesn't hurt to have somebody say to your boss in advance, oh, they're going to ask for a raise, but that's great. Like, they probably deserve it. Like, it doesn't hurt to have them be validated. You don't, I mean, you can't control their conversations, but if someone is higher than you within another department or within another team, or even if it's for your boss, like they're going to vouch for you. So that's something that's really not there, but I think it's important.
How do you do that? Like, it's
the same when you go and you get a mentor. When I walk into a company, and I've been to probably, I mean, I've worked at, I don't even know, like maybe 7 or 8 companies. And I didn't do this at the very beginning for a lot of them, but I learned this later on because I was in very toxic environments for a lot of them. People genuinely just want to know you. People genuinely just want to be nice to you. I mean, because you're there most of the day, right? Now you're remote, so it's a little different. I find remote easier, actually. And I'll tell you two stories. So when you're in person, you say hi to everybody. Come in a little early, like go and talk to people. I found that when I came in 15 minutes earlier, if my time was 9 o'clock, if I walked in at 8:40, 8:45, they're always the same people who are early birds. And I would just stop and say hi in their office. Hey, how are you? Like, how was your commute? Like, how are you doing? On my way to my office. It literally takes 2 seconds. And what happens after doing that for a little bit of time? Like, you're one of the people that they'll come to when they're going to stop and get their coffee because you're here too. And you start to build that camaraderie, right? Like, you'll have your people too, but that exposes you to other people in the office that may not be part of your direct working environment, different departments maybe. And I really think that that helps because, and I used to walk around different floors when I was doing my 9 to 5 and meet other people. And I would meet people on the operations side, on the traffic side, people on the product side. And most people at my level and my job did not know these people. They just knew their name, but I knew them because I would just walk around like, hey guys, like there's cupcakes upstairs. Did you know that? And you don't have to have long lasting friendships with all of these people, but there's going to be one, maybe two that will kind of stand out to you that you will build a relationship with that's outside of your direct team. And it, because you remember you're at most jobs for a year plus, right? Maybe 2 years, 3 years, like it, you will build that relationship and they will see you a different way. Trust me. But it starts by being positive and being friendly and putting yourself out there, but not in a contrived way.
That makes sense. You said you had another
They don't tell you that when they don't tell you that when you Google it. Let me tell you.
No, they do not. I have, and they do not.
It starts when you walk into the door every day. No one, I mean, maybe one or two curmudgeons, but most people are happy for someone to stop by their office or stop by this, like, hey, how are you doing today? Oh yeah, you know, and again, when people are there in the morning early, I just use that as an example. I used to do it random times, like random afternoons that I would be free. Like I had a few minutes before a meeting, I would go down to wherever area early before my meeting and just like, hey, how's it going? Oh, how's your girlfriend? How's your baby? How's like, just because it's almost like salesing yourself. They're almost like they're your clients. You have to just build that relationship. Even if it's like a couple seconds, those seconds build up every time you talk to them. So.
Yeah. That's all. So did you have another story you said you wanted to tell?
Remotely, because we are in this remote environment, a lot of companies do remote only. So it's hard to have that in-person interaction. So what I was going to say with the remote, my sister works in a remote only job and she started that job during the pandemic. And so I would push her. I'm like, you do not get these people in person. So you need to see if you can get on their calendar. You're a lowly assistant, but at the same time, like, why not? You're new, like use that to your advantage. Just say, I'm trying to meet people in the company. They don't have to. But what ended up happening, she ended up meeting all these VPs, SVPs all across the company, international. And she ended up getting a mentor that was based in Singapore. And she just learned so much about a department that she never even knew. And she's like, I would love to do that one day. She ended up moving departments within a year. And the moral of the story is people are busy, but they're still starved for interaction, even if it's remote. Put it on their calendar, 15-minute coffee chat. Let them cancel it 100 times. That's okay, you know, but getting a note saying, hey, I'd love to meet you and talk to you. Would it be okay if I put something on your calendar? And just getting those people to know who you are and get those advocates never hurts your prospects in a company. Whether it's getting to the negotiation point where you're asking for a raise, whether it's getting a promotion, if you want to move department to department down the road, or maybe you're not sure if this is for you, but you don't know what you want to do, it doesn't hurt to have advocates in other departments to, hey, like, do you mind if I talk to you about what you're doing? It's a little different than what I'm doing, but just wanted to learn. And no one's going to say no. And if they do, great, move on. Like, yeah.
Yeah. I like those tips. And those are really good tips.
It's
Future
hard.
clients are probably hearing those tips.
I mean, it's hard for a lot of people to put themselves out there. A lot of the younger generation, they're very like, log on, do my work, move out, and get promoted in a year because I'm supposed to. It's just, it's almost like an old school tip, but it goes a long way when you know someone. That's all.
And it distinguishes you from everyone else. And you just check
Yeah.
and
A
see
lot of
that
the
other
jobs
person.
that I've gotten in my career is because I know people, because
Mhm.
I've made those relationships and they're like, I'm looking to get back into the job market. It's been a full year for me. As much as I love doing what I'm doing, I need more and I'm considering it. And I was texting with a friend, not even a friend, he was an old assistant that wasn't even my assistant. He was on another team. You see how this works? It doesn't have to be higher level, it could be lower level. And he is at this really great company where people stay for 20, 30 years. They retire there, they never leave. And he's like,
Wow.
hey, this could be an opening here. Would you be interested in that? He's like, I don't know if you know this person, but maybe it's something that you can. And I was like, I actually do know all these people, but I'm not sure. But just getting that heads up, just
Mhm.
him thinking about me matters. And it was really
Yeah.
great because it's like, here's this guy who started at the bottom, who's now this higher level, and he's looking out for me. And we don't even work at the same company. That's what
I
you
love
want.
it.
You want
Yes.
opportunity and you want people to remember you in a positive way. I mean, if you're a terrible worker, that's not the industry for you. You're not gonna want people to remember you. But I'm going out with the faith that you probably enjoy what you're doing, or it's a job and you want to make the best of it. Um, yeah, why not be friendly? Why not be positive? Why not try to get some people on your side? And again, don't think of it as contrived as that. Just think of it as you're just being a nice person and you're just saying, hey.
Yeah. Yeah.
And see what relationship
So,
develop out of that. Yeah, it's always like 1 or 2 relationships out of the like 10 or 20 that's going to go further. And that's
and that's all
cool.
you need.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So what is your favorite movie? It could be, I told you movie, but movie or show about money.
Okay, so I have this on my webinar and you definitely know the movie and I wrote a little thing about it so I wouldn't forget, but I read the book too, Hidden Figures. Do you know that movie?
Yeah.
Um, with the 3 African American women who are working at NASA, and it's during the 60s. And so the
Yes.
reason I love this movie, well, one, it's completely true. Um, and it's showcasing these women who had a significant contribution to our history that people don't even know about. They're unsung heroes. So I one, love that part of it. 2, they tackle the gender inequities, they tackle the racial inequities to get to the point where they're actually affecting how the United States um, excel. Right. I don't want to give away too much if you've never seen it, but it's an older movie. So people have seen
It's
it, but
history. I don't think you have spoiler alert on history.
yeah, but it just showcases the talent of these women, right? They're undervalued, they're underpaid. In one instance, one of the main characters doesn't even have access to a bathroom in the building because it was the 60s and there was segregation. And the
Yeah.
things that they had to go through, the systematic discrimination, the prejudice, um, and they just continued to work tirelessly because they had the same belief as these men, these white men that they worked with. So even though the environment was hostile, they cared about the advancement of the project that they're working on. And I love that because I often feel the racial barriers that we face at work, sometimes it's not even that obvious, right? If we don't think it's that obvious, but there'll be like a little thing that you're like, maybe. Um, just based on something that you can't control. The gender you can't control. Well, I mean, I guess you can control it now, but you know what I mean? The gender, the
Yeah.
race, like you can't control those things, but you're still striving to be excellent. You're still striving to hit your goals, to go further. Um, and I think that a lot of us are doing that right now. We're doing what, and I know the actress's name, and I actually do know the women's names too, but Taraji
Yes.
P. Henson,
Taraji P. Henson, Janelle
Janelle Monáe,
Monáe, and I forgot the third.
yes. So they were playing Katherine Johnson, Dorothy Vaughan, and Mary Jackson. And those are the 3 women. So the movie just sheds a light on their resilience, their brilliance, their tenacity to overcome all of this, despite the things and the setbacks that they had to get to
Mhm.
that point of getting to the same goal. And I just love that. I just love
Yeah.
that. It just resonates really with me because it's I don't even know how to explain it, but it's basically calling for a more inclusive and equitable society, basically, when we're trying to do that now. And this was back in
Yeah.
the 60s when segregation was a thing. So I have
Yeah.
something in my throat for
I
I'm not crying. it's allergies.
She loves the movie so much that she's crying about it.
Yeah, all right. No, it's really bad allergy season. But I felt like I kind of like butchered how I described that. But if you haven't seen the movie, I would highly recommend it. And think of it from the lens of a person of color. If you're a person of color, you don't have to think of it this way. But if you are a male or or a white female watching it, think of it if that was you.
Yeah, it's an excellent
Yeah.
movie. I haven't read the book, but I did see the movie. It was an excellent movie.
Mhm.
So tell the people where they can find you.
Well, I am, of course, on LinkedIn. I am tagged on here. I am at Mira Harden on Instagram. Facebook, I'm actually at Mira Harden Inc. But long story, INC at the end. I'm on TikTok. I don't use it as much, but it's still there, and I do some stuff on there. And you can go on www.miraharden.com. It's my full name. And yeah, I would like to see you. You can DM me, you can email me, miraharden@miraharden.com. And maybe join me for my next webinar. I do monthly webinars on how to get the raise that you deserve. And I go through my 4 steps on how to basically do this. And for people who do decide to sign up for my course, I include something called Pushing Past No, which is basically scripts that you can use when you get a no, when you're asking for a raise or getting a pushback kind of response. And I
Right.
identify those responses. I tell people what to say, how to handle them. And yeah, they get this really great workbook that they can follow along and just do the work, and they get support from me. I mean, I
Um,
have people who do one-on-one coaching with me, but the course is really great in that way where you do it on your own time, but you still
mhm.
have access to me. So, and other students that are there. So hopefully people can join my webinar or just go straight into the course, and I'll see you there.
So when's your next one?
My next one, well, so it's the end of May. It will be June. It's probably middle of June in 2 weeks. And
Okay.
if you're in the New York City area, I'm actually doing an in-person presentation for this particular 4 steps to getting a raise. It'll be very, very detailed. It's in New York City, and you just DM me and I'll get you a ticket. I think I only have a limited amount of tickets because it's for this women's focus group. And yeah, but it's on June 29th. But my webinar will probably be middle of June. So sorry, I don't have a date right now.
That's okay. We know to look for it. And it's Hardin, Hardin.
Yes. At Mira
Yes.
Harden. It is I.
Thank, yes. Thank you so much for joining us. It was great as
Yeah.
always.
Yeah, this was fun. I haven't been on LinkedIn. So, I mean, I have a LinkedIn account, guys. Hit me up, but I don't really do much on LinkedIn. But yeah, so I'm there.
Yeah. And thank you for wearing Lauren Pink. I appreciate it.
I thought I did that on purpose. I saw it and I was like, oh, this kind of reminds me. Yes. I was like, this kind of reminds me of the pink that she has in her whole aesthetic. And I was like, let me do it to support so it looks aesthetically good for her brand. I did.
Thank you.
I even looked for pink lipstick for you.
Oh, wow. She went all out. And this is how you build relationships, people.
I think it's pink. Yeah, it's pink.
Yeah, that's pink.
But I have to say,
Alrighty.
for all the listeners out there, I'm sorry, this dress, I haven't worn a dress like this to go in person to a job for a while. So I feel a little uncomfortable. I miss my like loose sweatshirts and sweaters and my yoga pants, but I got a dress on for y'all today. So hopefully you appreciate what I'm saying and what I'm wearing.
Oh, we feel so special.
You should. No.
And
Well,
also,
it's
again, you
great.
can, sorry.
I said this has been really great. Thank you for having me.
Yes. And don't forget her podcast where is it tomorrow? You can catch me as a
Tomorrow,
guest.
yep, podcast is Brown
Yeah.
Girl Trending. It's on Spotify, Apple, and anywhere you really listen. Lauren will be interviewed. So we're doing tit for tat. And it was really, really informative. So definitely wherever you listen, please, Brown Girl Trending.
Yes. All right. I'll see you guys next Tuesday. I believe the topic's going to be about personal branding. And so until then, we'll see you guys later. Bye.